Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today I've got I'm going to say hopefully a quick video for you, but these are very typically the videos that turn out to be about half an hour long. Obviously you're on YouTube at the minute, so you can tell me exactly how long I ended up making this video before I've even made it. Time travel, bitch. So, today I'm going to be just doing again, in inverted commas, quick video on what tanks I think are the best picks and everything for the Onslaught game mode. And this is for, I think it's called the Season of the Griffin. It's the first season that they've done. It would make sense as there's a Griffin right there, and it says Season of the Griffin. It's the first season they've done, and it is in October of 2022. It runs through October and November in 2022, so if you're watching this in the future, it may not still apply. If this is a recurring game mode that keeps coming back, I will probably do an updated video on every season. But this one is for this one. The way this video is going to work, I've split it up into a couple of categories. I'm not going to go through absolutely every tank at tier 10. Basically, if I don't mention a tank in this video, I do not think it is worth playing in the mode. There are some tanks that I will say, and there will be kind of like an asterisk by it that I will explain why it is my pick. If there is anything that you think, oh, well, why didn't you mention this tank, Max? Or I think this tank's really good. Please do let me know in the comments, and I will reply to you and let you know either why I didn't pick it, or if I was just stupid and completely forgot to pick it. So if I don't mention your favourite tank, then, you know, please do shout at me in the comments for it, and I will try and justify myself whilst crying in a corner. So the way this video is, I'm going to split it up. I'm going to do the best pick, which I think is the best all-round pick, which unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of months, I think you probably know. The top picks, which are, like, in my opinion, the best tanks you can play within the mode if you don't have the best pick. Good picks, which are, again, if you don't have any of the top picks, or, you know, you just on a slightly different map or something like that. And again, I will give a bit of justification to each tank. And then I've also got situational picks, which are the ones with a very, very, very big asterisk next to them. And I will explain why that is. Hopefully, I will, if I remember, Future Max, remember, put timestamps in the description explaining... leaving when each of the categories are. And like I say, I'm not going to go through every single tank. I think on my list here, I've got about 20 tanks to go over. So, without further ado, first things first. Again, unless you've been living under a complete and utter rock for the last couple of months, my best pick, the tank that I think, if you only could pick one tank in this game mode, is the AMX M454. This thing works on all maps. It, at the minute, is probably one of the best all-rounders in the game. 8 degrees of gun depression, decent DPM, nice punchy alpha of 560, decently mobile, decent slab of hit points. It's an all-round really, 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 really strong tank at the minute. And absolutely 100%. I think if I go... Please don't look too much into my Onslaught stats because I see my previous published work for an example. You can see here I've just played the majority of games within the AMX M4, and oh, I haven't looked at these win rates a lot. But there you go. Yeah, AMX M454 is just it's insanely good. It is the best pick, and in my opinion, if you can play it on, if you are wondering what to pick this tank, 100%. So, with that out of the way, moving on to my top picks. These are the picks that I think, like, are your best picks you possibly can if you're not playing the MX M4, or sometimes on different maps. First one, S-Conk. Really, really, again, kind of similar to the MX M454. Really solid all-round vehicle. Pros the MX M454, it's probably got a better gun. You've got better DPM. You've, in my opinion, got slightly better armor. You have obviously got very weak lower plate, and there is weak spots in the turret ring and around the mantler area, especially if you are facing good players. But it still, I would say, has a little bit better armor. 10 degrees of gun depression, so it's more workable. For example, on maps like Sand River and Westfield, maybe this tank is preferable to the AMX in some situations. But yeah, it's an awesome all-round tank. And again, I would say you could probably pick it on most maps and you could make it work. As well as that, we've got the CS63. Now, this is the medium tank slash, spoiler alert, light tank of choice. In my opinion, in this mode, and you are going to hear this later on as well, I do not think light tanks are worth it. For anybody, again, who hasn't really played this mode, it is 7 versus 7. That means there are only 7 tanks on each team. In my personal opinion, I don't think light tanks are really worth it, especially with the zones that allow you to spot the entire enemy team. Light tanks are not worth it. They don't have the DPM, don't have the HP that you can use. You should just pick a CS63. If you want to take early aggressive positions, CS63. If you want the ability to rotate and everything, CS63. 100% in my opinion. Obviously with the turbo mode you go 75. Then when you switch back into like the firing mode, I can't think what it's called, you've got good DPM, 8 degrees of gun depression, and a decent amount of HP as well. If you're using improved hardening in the boosted slot, you should have 2.2k HP, which again, very nice, really good. You get the arty strike as well, which is a good ability to have. I couldn't think what I was trying to say. It's good for resetting caps and stuff like that. This is also a good tank, for example, on El Haluf. Like the meta at the minute is quite revolves quite a lot around pushing towards the A1 arty strike. This is obviously a good tank for that. On Westfield, you can rush into the bowl at the start. It's got good potential. If you're playing in a 2-man platoon as well, between 2 of these, you can really open up what you can do on the map. Next, looking over to my sheet, you got the VZ55. Now, I wasn't sure where to put the VZ. I wasn't sure whether to put it in this list or the next list down. I would say maybe this is a half notch below the 2 tanks that I've just mentioned. But I would still say it's a pretty solid tank. It's fast. You've got decent DPM considering you've got a burst. The armor is average at best, but it's still a decent all-round tank. You can do 1,000 damage to people in a short space of time. It's quite good for punishing crosses, for example, on Pilsen. I think it's on the one line there is an arty strike. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. On the one line there is an artillery strike. Quite a lot of people try and rush that. The VZ is a great tank for getting into a position to punish that crossing. And then still have the utility to continue fighting within like the brawl, unlike some other autoloaders that we may or may not come onto in a bit. So I still think the VZ is a very strong pick if you have it. Next, STB1, very strong pick as well. Really good DPM, really good DPM. Insane gun depression, 14 degrees of gun depression. I didn't actually realise it was that good, but insane gun depression. You can take positions. I would probably recommend that this tank is only really a top pick on Sand River and Westfield, in my opinion. You can play it on other maps, but I would probably say in other maps it maybe drops down into the good pick section. But definitely on Sand River, Westfield, maps that you need gun depression, this is a really good tank to play. Following on from that as well, the T110E3, I would say on Ensk and to a certain extent Himmelsdorf, although maybe not so much, the T110E3 is probably, again, a top pick. On other maps, I probably wouldn't even say it's a good pick, but I have to include it in this just for those 2 maps, because it is a top pick on Ensk or Himmels. Good armor. Obviously, good DPM, 375 APCR pen, which is really nice. Its ability, I can actually get my head around it to start with, but if you learn how to use the ability, it's actually really overpowered. There's the bottom section. When this skill is active, each enemy shell that hits your vehicle reduces the remaining reload time by 3 seconds. So if you fire, and then you know about 3 people are going to shoot you, activate the ability, and you can get like a 9-second reload. Like I think someone in my chat, I think it was Flipser, was saying he was getting like 5-second reloads in the E3 because he was just timing it right. So that could be really strong. And again, on city maps, the E3 is obviously a very strong tank. Boom. That is it for my top picks. Now let's move on to the good picks. These are picks that I think you could pick better tanks, but they're still a solid, like, you know, if you play them, I don't really think many people are going to moan at you massively. You will always get some people moan at you. So, first one is the 277. I think this is probably hovering between top picks and good picks. The only thing that makes this tank not a top pick is its gun depression, basically. You cannot really do much with 5.5 degrees of gun depression on some maps. It does make you a bit inflexible on some maps. However, having a 277 as well, especially in 7-man platoons, 277s are pretty good when they have the support, because you are able... you're able to get into position so quickly, and you bring hit points and a decent gun with you, and a bit of armor as well, to be honest. So 277, very, very nice tank. It's kind of along those lines. IS7 as well, obviously hull down potential. I just realised I've got field mods on these two. Try and remind myself after the video to actually select those. IS7, kind of similar to the 277, really fast. With the IS7, once you get it into position, your armor is really good. Unfortunately, the letdown with the IS7, again, is the gun depression isn't amazing. And also, your gun, the DPM, is kind of a bit lackluster. You're playing 7v7, DPM is kind of an important factor, because if you can chew through the enemy tanks quicker, like, these games snowball a lot quicker than randoms. Like, as soon as you lose 1-2 tanks, the majority of the time, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all she wrote, and you're going to lose or win, depending on which side of that you're on. But yeah, IS7, pretty good. You can kind of mitigate that with the amount of shells you can bounce. If you find a good position that you can get hull down, again, you can be a right pain to dig out, and you have got a big old chunk of HP as well. Next, good pick, Object 2684. I would say this is only really a good pick on Ensk or Himmels. It can be played on other maps. This tank, because you've got Fog of War, people aren't always prepared for it. It can sometimes be a good tank as just like, almost like a battering ram. Just to push through, put one shot in, ram something, take that first volley of fire from the enemy tanks, and then let your team push through. After that, it can then become a bit lackluster. Again, 5 degrees of gun depression. The fact it hasn't got a turret, so you get double tracked, like you're kind of in the shit. And the DPM isn't amazing, but you do have 360 heat pen, so you can start working things over. It's pretty quick, obviously, as well. So, yeah, I don't know whether... I put it in good picks. Maybe you could say it could go in situational picks. Now I'm thinking about it more. Maybe I should have put it in situational picks, but here we go. There it is. Next, we have got the E100. Now, I would probably suggest in this mode you want to play it with the small gun, so you've got the better DPM. However, the big gun, you've got the heat pen, is quite nice. Obviously, big old slab of HP takes people a while to get through it. The armor is decent, especially if you can side scrape and stuff. Probably more useful on, again, Ensk or Himmels, the city maps. But you have got decent DPM, decent HP. You've also got the team HP, what's it called, field repairs ability. So sometimes if you are in a bit of a brawl and an E100 pops the field repairs, it can actually make a huge difference to, like, if you're at full power, what is it, 400 HP, so that's an extra shot. And if you've got 3 or 4 vehicles within that zone, and now three or four vehicles can take an additional shot damage, that's actually quite a big thing. I think if the U100 didn't have the field repairs, maybe it's not so strong, but I would say it's a good pick. Again, you're more than welcome to disagree. This is only my opinion, but I definitely think, especially on the city maps, E100 is a really, really nice pick. Next, we have UDES 1516. Ooh, bit of a curveball. I think this tank is underrated, and I haven't seen it played a huge amount, but I can't see why it wouldn't. It's relatively mobile. Again, kind of in a similar role to the STB. It's incredibly mobile, really good gun depression. The turret armor is really nice. You've got really good DPM. The gun itself is pretty decent. Pen is a little on the low side, but I think especially on your sand rivers, again, your Westfields, you could either say on cliff maybe if you're playing the ramp, stuff like that. This tank definitely could work. I definitely think it's something that people haven't really considered. Yes, there are probably better tanks that you could play, but I definitely think it's worth a mention that if you've got this thing and not a lot else, I genuinely don't think that too many people are going to argue with you taking a UDES 1516. And then the last of the good picks, in my opinion, 60 TP. Again, probably aiming more towards city maps with this. Obviously, you've got the 750 Alpha. I'd probably say the downsides of this tank are obviously you miss a shot or bounce a shot. your DPM is very lackluster. But you have got, again, really nice HP, ability to bounce some rounds, and just kind of be a general pain in the arse. You haven't got the team heal like the U100 has, so I would probably actually say that's a bit of a downside. But yeah, I would still say it's probably towards the lower end, but it's definitely something that you could get away with. Now, situational picks. Okay, situational picks. These tanks that I'm about to say, they could go range anywhere from best pick all the way down to I'm not even mentioning it on this list, depending on kind of what I say about it. So the first tank we've got, first kind of 3 tanks we've got, AMX 50B. Where is it? TVP T5051 and Batchat 25T. All 3 in the same boat. Obviously, all 3 being autoloaders. In my opinion, these are situational picks because you need to know how to play them. I have seen some TVPs especially. TVP is a really good tank. I've seen some TVPs absolutely carry games and be amazing. Also, if you get the wrong person pick the TVP, it is probably one of the worst tanks you can pick because the HP is low, the DPM is relatively low, you've got no survivability. It's a poor pick. Same with the Batchat. To a point, 50B is a little bit different. You've got slightly more HP and everything like that, and you can take this as more one of your main fighting tanks, but you need to know how to play it. If you think to yourself, I'm not particularly great in an autoloader, do not pick these tanks in this mode. You are more of a hindrance to the team than you are a help. As it is 7v7, you've got to choose the right time to put your clip in. You've got to prioritize your targets well, because it's only 7v7 and the games are traditionally really quick. You're not gonna get a huge amount of clips in. If you mess up one clip, you're not gonna get many opportunities to put another couple in. So I would say all 3 of these tanks, they can be amazing, they can be trash. You just need to know how to play them. Make sure you know how to play them. If you know how to play them, know there's a map you can play them well on, then definitely there's a pick. There is also a good use for them in a 7-man team as well, because they can have that punch. Again, like on Cliff, when I was in a 7-man team, we were rolling 5 CSs, 2 50Bs, because you have those CSs rush in first, they take the initial hits, the 50Bs clip, and then the enemy team has to choose, well, do I take out the single shot tanks that are currently shooting back at me and leave the 50Bs, in which case they reload and then dump another clip into us, and that's really bad, or do we focus out the autoloaders with the whole, at the same time, being shot at by 5 CSs. So, again, within tactics, they can work quite well. Good area denial as well, because you pretty much take, especially if you can get 2 of them, you can take out a tank within a couple of seconds, which is really nice. But you need to know how to play them. That's the big asterisk on that. The EBR 105. Oh my god. The amount of times, if you've watched my streams, that I've raged at people taking the EBR. In my opinion, not worth it. But I feel like I had to add it to the video just because I would get questions if not. In my opinion, it is not worth it. The main ability of the EBR has always been to get that spot and to find out the information before. Yes, you can play around with your DPM and your sorry, not with your DPM, but with your gun, and your gun is half decent if you can play around the enemy tanks, get behind them and everything. But in my opinion, the main bonus of this tank is completely negated in this mode by the whatever it's called, the watchtower, or whatever is the spotting ability, that you capture the circle and it spots the entire enemy team. You can take a CS, capture that zone, it does the job of the EBR, and then you're better off to be in a CS. Yes, you can't rotate quite as quick as you can in the EBR, but when you get there, the DPM so much more than makes up for that. The fact that you've got like an extra 1,000 DPM in the CS. You've also, if you need to get in the fight in the CS, you've got an extra 1,000 HP as well. The EBR is pretty much useless in that regard. And if you see an EBR on the enemy team, you should be ignoring him and facing off against the tanks that are more of a threat, have the more DPM, and then kill him at the end if you need to. The majority of the time, obviously, every situation is different. So, yeah, maybe in a 7-man team, you can, if you use an EBR to get the early spot off and then have a CS to back him up. I just wouldn't recommend it, especially if you're playing solo. In my opinion, having an EBR is just, it's more of a hindrance to your team than it is a help. But I felt I should add it into the video anyway. And then finally, I've got in my notes the Leopard 1 and the STRV 103B. Oh, those, I haven't even seen that. Universal will be equal to 0.01. Damn. Yeah. They're sniping tanks. The Leopard, again, has the artillery strike, so, yeah, you maybe could use it. Again, I'd probably suggest a CS over the Leopard. The trouble with the Leopard is, especially, I would probably say these tanks are worth a mention because they're not trash. They're not, like, terrible picks. But, again, they kind of flirt with the you need to know how to play them. The Leopard 1 is a decent tank, but you need to know the point in which you need to stop sniping and get your HP in the game and start using your tank to its fullest ability. And get it involved. Because too many people I see, for example on Cliff, they'll go back, they'll sit in that sniping balcony, they'll do a couple of thousand damage, but the team is starting to lose. You need to push in, you need to start taking shots for... You've got 1800 HP, it's not a huge amount, but you're better off being on 300 HP and having 3 teammates alive than you being on 1800 HP, still sat at the back of the map, because it's not going to work. You need to know when to push in. So, you could use it, probably would recommend against, but it's something you can do. And STRV, I would probably not recommend at all playing solo or at all playing in 2-man. If you're playing in a 7-man and you've got a tactic that revolves around you pushing onto one part and it's going to draw the enemies into the open, then you can use an STRV in certain situations. But again, I probably wouldn't recommend it other than in very, 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 very niche situations. Again, I thought I would just mention it. And yeah, that's all the tanks I've written down on my list. If you guys have anything else that you think, Max, you've completely missed it. There might be a couple of like good picks that I have just completely missed. Then please do let me know, and I will let you know my opinion in the comments. There are some tanks, for example, the Kran and the Progetto are glaringly staring out at me. In my opinion, the Kran, you're better off just picking the S-Conk these days. Like, the Kran has lost its mobility advantage over stuff like that, and enough of a mobility advantage, and lost its DPM advantage, in my opinion, to be picked over the S-Conk in pretty much all situations. And I see a lot of love for the Progetto. In my opinion, it's not got the DPM. Simple as. It's just the DPM is too low. As soon as you start getting into your clip as well, you're such a hindrance to your team. The amount of games that I've had like lost for me when the last tank alive has been a Progetto, or one of the last tanks alive has been the Progetto, and literally if they were in any other medium tank, even ones that I haven't necessarily mentioned, they would have the DPM to win the game. But because they've played the Progetto, they've gone far too deep into their clip. They just haven't. They're just useless. Like 15 seconds to reload 360 alpha. It's not enough. But yeah, like I said, any other tanks, please do feel free to let me know in the comments. If I've just completely neglected your favourite tank and the tank that you've got 85% wins in and you do 6,000 damage every game, please do let me know. But they are, in my opinion, my picks for the Onslaught game mode for the Season of the Griffin in October of 2022. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video or found it useful, please give it a like. Make sure you subscribe, notifications on. Yeah, YouTube has been crap recently. I won't even lie to you. I haven't really uploaded much. I've done a couple of shorts, but that's mainly because one of my big supporters, Frederick, he's been doing the he's been editing the shorts for me. So all I do is after I stream, I send him the clips. He sends them back in the short form. I upload them. Nice and simple. I just haven't got time to do this. If you do want to watch my streams, but over here on YouTube, I have got a new YouTube channel, msimpson54 live. head over to that and you'll see these stream VODs in their entirety. So please do head over and give that a subscribe if you want to watch any parts of my stream. Yeah, on that, thank you all so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.